A World Cup qualified Hong Kong-China outfit travels to the Isles of Sri Lanka as they take on the Sri Lanka Tuskers in the opener of the Asia Rugby Emirates Men's Championship 2026 tournament. Hello and welcome to the Papare as we bring you live action from the Racecourse. It's Hong Kong-China set to take on Sri Lanka. The game promises to be a thrilling encounter as I have my co-commentators alongside me, Shanaka and Abdullah. Abdullah, a massive looking Hong Kong outfit is set to take on Sri Lanka. What would your thoughts be?
Yes, well, good afternoon to you, Romario, and good afternoon to all our viewers, not just from Sri Lanka but from all over Asia as well, as we see both teams go through their warm-ups in rather humid but very clear conditions here at the Racecourse grounds here in Colombo. Yes, Romario, you're talking about both the very big-looking Hong Kong outfit, which is always the case. We'll come back to that. First, we'll go have a look at the weather forecast for today.
Sri Lanka Rugby has decided to kick off this game at 3:30 as they hope to put this massive Hong Kong players under duress under these hot conditions at the Racecourse. 32 degrees Celsius reads the maximum temperature with a bit of cloud cover. Beg your pardon, in fact the kickoff is scheduled to be at 3 p.m. Sri Lanka will be hoping to kick off this tournament as they take on this team which has 10 debutants. And we have a few highlights from last year where they got the better out of Sri Lanka, Abdullah, beating us 78-7.
Yes, that's right. It was a really tough encounter for the Sri Lankan lads last year. Hong Kong just proving far too powerful and running in 78 points. Sri Lanka just crossing the Hong Kong goal line once, courtesy of a try by Pasindu Bandara. But you've got to keep in mind that this was a Hong Kong outfit that eventually did really well to qualify for a World Cup. And Sri Lanka will just try to put in a much better performance today in front of their home crowd. But of course, last year it was pretty much one-way traffic, and Hong Kong just showing that total dominance up front as well as out wide, as you can see from the highlights that are currently visible. Sri Lanka did try their best, but eventually were not good enough to compete against a much more physically superior Hong Kong outfit.
Certainly, physicality has been the call of the day from Hong Kong, as here are a few results from last year. It was a close game against South Korea here at the Racecourse, where Sri Lanka lost by 2 points. Hong Kong-China defeated UAE 43 points to 10. UAE defeated South Korea by 2 points, 38 points to 36. And the result from last year, Hong Kong-China 78, Sri Lanka 7. Then after that, Sri Lanka took on UAE back again at the Racecourse and unfortunately fell short on that occasion as well. And the last fixture, Hong Kong-China demolished South Korea as well, 70 points to 22. So a far superior Hong Kong-China outfit, Abdullah.
Yeah, that's right. Just going through those score sheet, you can clearly see how superior Hong Kong was to every other team in the region. There was nothing much to choose between the other three teams, was there, Romario? It was very close, competitive encounters, but Hong Kong just proved too good to all the other teams in that competition last year.
Indeed, they are head and shoulders above the rest, where the other three teams were playing much closer encounters. However, Hong Kong-China running away with things as the two teams go through their final warm-ups. We will go in for a quick commercial break and be back with team news and kickoff on the other side.
Going to the hands of the fielder. What a catch!
The legends return to rule. The rivalries reignited. Cricket's greatest names. One epic series. Asian Legends League 2026. From the 2nd to the 14th of June, catch the action live on the Papare 2, Dialog Play App, ThePapare.com.
The tradition continues. From signature clashes to heart-stopping endings. Every pass, every tackle, every try writes a new chapter in Sri Lanka schools rugby history. Old rivals, new challengers, underdogs who rise with one dream. Dialog Schools Rugby League 2026. Live on Dialog Television, Dialog Play and ThePapare.com.
From the Caribbean rhythm to the Lion Nation roar, this is a clash of flair, fire, and fearless cricket. 3 ODIs, 3 explosive T20s, and 2 classic test matches. Sri Lanka Tour of West Indies 2026, 3rd of June to 7th of July. Catch the action live on the Papare 1, the Papare 1 HD, and Dialog Play.
Every generation gets one moment, one chance to carry a nation's pride. From the 25th to the 29th of May, Sri Lanka, India, Bangladesh, Maldives come together for the future of basketball. FIBA Under-18 Asia Cup Sabah Qualifiers 2026. Catch the action live on the Papare, Sri Lanka's #1 sports channel.
Welcome back to live pictures here from the Racecourse grounds in Colombo as Hong Kong ready themselves to take on the host Sri Lanka in the first match of this Asian Rugby Championship. An Asian Rugby Championship shorn of the United Arab Emirates, who are in a bit of geographical difficulty to get to their matches. And this was the only away game for Sri Lanka last year, and it turns out to be the only home game this year. That's the match that we'll be bringing to you in a few moments. And then Hong Kong, China travel to Korea at the Hong Kong Football Club. Sorry, they host Korea at the Hong Kong Football Club. And then Korea will be the venue that Sri Lanka goes to try and do a little bit better than that couple of points margin that they showed here in Colombo last year.
Yeah, that's right, Shanaga. It was a keenly contested tournament overall, other than for the Hong Kong fixtures, isn't it? Hong Kong class apart from all the other teams, and also it showed their qualification for the World Cup. But probably Korea and Sri Lanka will probably look at a possibility of trying to create an upset of sorts, because Hong Kong have come with kind of a development team, isn't it? Their main team is away playing in that Nations Cup in preparation for the World Cup. So Sri Lanka as well as Hong Kong will just look at an opportunity to see whether they can cause some problems to this Hong Kong outfit.
Yes, the Hong Kong team that qualified for the World Cup is full of professional and semi-professional athletes who play their rugby in different parts of the world and have the qualification to play for Hong Kong. It'll be good to see how Sri Lanka can compete with the lower tier of athletes in this region. Of course, Sri Lanka showed that they can mix it with the UAE and Korea last year. We certainly saw that, and this will be something that they want to really put themselves up against. This second string, if we can call it that, Hong Kong team. That's the team arriving on their bus just a few moments ago to this wonderful racecourse venue. Sure, some of these Hong Kong lads would have played here before. And we have the head coach of the Hong Kong team who spoke to us a little while earlier.
Well, with the head coach of Hong Kong, coach, just talk us through the preparation ahead of the Sri Lanka game away from home.
Yeah, I feel like we were prepared as well as we could do. I've got a talented, an experienced squad, but they've gelled well, and we're certainly looking forward to the challenge ahead.
Indeed. How has been the new look Hong Kong outfit? It's not the same outfit Sri Lanka played last year. So just talk us through the new names and the new comers to this side?
Yeah, we come in with 17 debutants, which is a high number for any test match. But a lot of these players have played Premier Rugby in Hong Kong for quite a while, so they're not all young boys. And that experience is really important to us. Plus our 5 boys that have come across from our full-time program, which have offered that leadership that we really needed.
How's been the preparation here in Sri Lanka, especially with the heat here? How are you adjusting to the conditions?
Yeah, it's not a lot different to Hong Kong, except for the last week it's been raining in Hong Kong. So players will be used to playing in this kind of heat and humidity, so we don't think it's going to be a major factor.
All right, Coach, all the very best. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Hong Kong head coach Nigel Hotham telling us exactly what he thinks of this Asian Rugby Emirates Championship. They will certainly be wanting to go for the win regardless of the fact that their first team is away. But Sri Lanka also a little bit depleted, Abdullah. Sri Lanka Rugby have their own plans of trying to really mix it with the big boys at the Asian Games and have focused on their sevens in the next few months. So a few backs that are not really available for this selection for the Sri Lanka team, but the forwards should give a good account of themselves and a lot of opportunity for younger players.
Yeah, that's right. A lot of debutants have been brought in, especially off the bench, so it'll be interesting to see how they fare. Also, I think, as you said, Shanaka, the 8 that played in that New Zealand series is more or less intact. So it'll be interesting to see, especially how that tight 5 front up, isn't it? So it'll be interesting to see how they go at set piece time.
Sri Lanka coach Dushanth Luke is online with us.
Head coach of Sri Lanka, Dushanth Luke, how's been the preparation ahead of this Hong Kong game?
Yeah, the team has been training together for about 11 days because a few of the key players were taken into the Asian Games squad after the New Zealand series. But that has opened the door for a few key young, exciting players to come into the squad. So I'm really excited to give them the chance to play. So hopefully they will do their best today.
After the New Zealand series, what are the positives you are taking into this game against Hong Kong?
Yeah, I think we are slowly learning how to play international rugby. It's a big step up for us to transition from the club game to the international stage. So I think it was a very big experience, and our players are slowly adapting to the international stage. But with more games, I think Sri Lanka will do well.
Thank you, coach. All the very best.
Thank you very much.
Sri Lanka head coach Dushanth Luke there talking to the Papare, and he says it's a step up, Abdullah, for the players, especially the younger players, into international rugby, and Sri Lanka is slowly learning to play international rugby. But it's probably fair to say it's not just a step up, it's a few steps up from the club rugby that most of these players are playing over the years.
Yes, absolutely. We'll just have a long chat on that, because it is definitely, as you said, very correctly said, Shanaka, a few notches that they have to go up, just in terms of the physicality, the intensity, as well as the skill level. So the more exposure, the more game time they have against this top quality opposition, there's no doubt that they'll learn and they'll benefit in the long run.
This might be the families of some of the Hong Kong China players that have travelled with the team. They've all helped themselves to a Sri Lanka replica jersey. I hope you do too once you come down to the game. We'll be back with live action after the break.
From the Caribbean rhythm to the Lion Nation roar, this is a clash of flair, fire and fearless cricket. 3 ODIs, 3 explosive T20s and 2 classic test matches. Sri Lanka Tour of West Indies 2026, 3rd of June to 7th of July. Catch the action live on the Papare 1, the Papare 1 HD and Dialog Play.
Every generation gets one moment, one chance to carry a nation's pride. From the 25th to the 29th of May, Sri Lanka, India, Bangladesh, Maldives come together for the future of basketball. FIBA Under-18 Asia Cup Sabah Qualifiers 2026. Catch the action live on the Papare, Sri Lanka's #1 sports channel.
From signature clashes to heart-stopping endings, every pass, every tackle, every try writes a new chapter in Sri Lanka schools rugby history. Old rivals, new challengers, underdogs who rise with one dream. Dialog Schools Rugby League 2026. Live on Dialog Television, Dialog Play and ThePapare.com.
Every generation gets one moment, one chance to carry a nation's pride. From the 25th to the 29th of May, Sri Lanka, India, Bangladesh, Maldives come together for the future of basketball. FIBA Under-18 Asia Cup Sabah Qualifiers 2026. Catch the action live on the Papare, Sri Lanka's #1 sports channel.
Welcome back as we look down over this racecourse ground. It has been taking a pounding with some monsoonal rain. The humidity won't be too much of a factor for Hong Kong, China as well, because it can get pretty humid in Hong Kong as well. But they will not be used to this kind of heat and playing rugby at this time of day. But the big forwards will certainly ground it out. You were expecting maybe a slightly smaller made team, Abdullah, when we found out that it was a development team. But when Sri Lanka ran out to face them today and saw them warming up on the other side, their hearts would have sunk a little bit.
Yes, they do look a very big unit, especially the 80s Nichanaka. So the Sri Lankans will have their work cut out, especially at set piece time, isn't it? But you just want to see whether the tight five have learnt anything from which they did last year. Most of the tight five from last year is yet remaining in the starting 15. So just to see whether they'll be able to compete and just hold their own, at least get some parity during their own ball. That will be a start, but it will be an uphill task, no doubt.
Sri Lankans certainly saw some improvement in their front five against New Zealand, but let's look at this Hong Kong team. We have Conchu, Tang and Bennett in the front row, Jenkinson with Hui. In the second row, Fury, Russo and Knight make up the third row. Kuba in the number 9 jersey, he pairs up with Pyle. Horbury and Squire in midfield for Hong Kong, China. And Alexander alongside Hicks and Smith on the two wings with McCann making up the last line of defense. On the substitutes bench, Lung, Holmes, Main, O'Byrne, Clark, White and Moses.
What I'm hearing is up to 17 debutants in that Hong Kong team is what read today in the newspaper. So it'll be interesting to see how they fare.
Not many familiar names in that Hong Kong lineup for certain. And Gamage, Kaushan and De Silva will be the front row for Sri Lanka. Thirila Bandar and Navin Marasinghe did yeoman service for the Sri Lankan team in the last few matches that they have played, and that engine room will be key today. A new name in Denuwan Wickramaratche coming into the 15th squad alongside the core captains Taridu Chaturanga and Lasandu Vishan Karunatilaka. Anura Pereira makes a well-deserved debut in the number 9 shirt alongside Murshid Zubair. Tenuka Nanayakkara moves one inside to number 12, and Gamunu Chetia, who hasn't had much rugby under his belt this season, makes his appearance at number 13, moving in from his familiar wing. Ratnayaka, Bandara and Patirana will be the men who are manned the back three for Sri Lanka. Bandara scored the only try that Sri Lanka scored last week. It was probably the try of the game as well, a spectacular try, but he will be looking for a few more from himself and his teammates today. The finishers, Kodagoda, Mushin, Silva, Adhikaram, Hemachandra, Amanet, Seniratna and Kaluarachi. Lots of young faces, lots of new faces for those who follow the Sri Lanka Tuskers. And this Asian Rugby Emirates Championship will be one that these boys will remember because it will be their first.
Yeah, that's right. Quite a few debutants, especially coming from off the bench, is Nichanaka, so they will no doubt benefit from this experience. And they will just want to try and gain as much game time as possible in probably during that second half in order for them to build on their careers.
Lots of crowd-splitting action today, Abdullah, in Sri Lanka, in Colombo in particular. Big school match going on just a few kilometers down the road, which will give some indication as to where the championship is headed later on in the year. But still, the faithful have come down to the Racecourse grounds to cheer on the Sri Lanka Tuskers, and you would expect a little bit more support from the home team.
Yeah, that's right, Shanika. I think probably the union would have expected a bit more, but as you said, a lot of other rugby action around the country with regard to schools rugby going on as well, which was action-packed calendar yesterday as well. So a lot of rugby happening, but there's no doubt that although they're not in the ground, I'm sure a lot of viewers have been tuned in to see how the Tuskers will perform in this first week of the Asian Rugby Championship.
Well, Sri Lanka surprised themselves, didn't they, last year? Came very close to toppling the UAE and Korea. I thought they had a few calls that maybe didn't really go in their favor in the intense moments of the game, but they would have learned from that, and that Korea game will be one that Coach Leuke will be targeting.
Yeah, definitely. Although this time they will have to go away and play that, but definitely if they can just manage to get that tight five right, I think that's where Sri Lanka lost probably both their games last year against South Korea and UAE. If they can just get that scrum right and just manage to get a bit of good quality position for their 3 quarters, then they'll definitely be in the running.
Hong Kong are ruthless though, aren't they, Abdullah? Because even last year, even though they were leading by more than 50 points at the time, I remember they had a kickoff, they had a penalty from the restart. So that meant that they had a scrum on the 50-meter line. And instead of trying to work it or just making sure that they ran a strike play or something like that, they just scrummed for the penalty against a team that they were already beating by 50 points and kicked to the corner and drove them all over. So that's the kind of ruthlessness, that's the kind of game management it takes at the top level. And it's no surprise that they have qualified behind Japan as Sri Lanka's, or Asia's rather, representative for the World Cup.
Yeah, that's right. And that ruthlessness is what probably has taken them to the World Cup as well. As you can see, some dignitaries there. Sarath Kumaragame, the sports minister, having a long chat with Hasan Singhawansa, the CEO of Sri Lankan Rugby, along with the head of the National Sports Council, former Sri Lankan skipper Priyantha Ekanaika, in the screen as well. Believe he's having a chat with the CEO of Asia Rugby.
2 prominent Sri Lanka rugby members as well. Stefan Gregory, President of the Players Association, and Thilini Senanayake, and along with the Director General of Sports as well, who were there in that shot. So they will be happy to see that international rugby is here in Sri Lanka.
Listen, from a Sri Lankan point of view, Shanaka, regardless of the result, I think it's great that Sri Lanka is now back in the top tier of Asian rugby competing, isn't it? They had to go through the Division 1 tournament, which they won convincingly at home a couple of years ago. It was a pretty tough baptism of fire last year, but I think the more they play these teams, there's no doubt the better they will get.
Certainly will. This experience will be invaluable for some of these younger players, especially the way they take it back to their club environments. And I think that's where it's going to be really important, because they will say, okay, this is how we train, this is how we play, and this is why we can't afford to go to sleep in games. So if they can just lift the rest of the players with them, the younger players that come into the side, that will be what this experience is really worthwhile to Sri Lankan rugby. And of course, these Hong Kong lads as well will be aching to make it to the World Cup, Abdullah. There's a long time in rugby terms before that World Cup kicks off in 2027. And you have to think that some of these boys may just put their hand up and say, look, I want a place in that squad. There's a 40-something man squad that each of these teams selects. So Dean Squire's team would certainly be saying, hey, that those places aren't guaranteed. We want a look in. So there's competition there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And for Hong Kong, again, from their point of view, it's about building their depth, isn't it? They're now considered a World Cup team, so they will want to just try and enhance their pool resources, because in this game of rugby, injuries can happen at any time. So you just want to have placements ready. So this kind of exposure, no doubt, will help them as well.
Hong Kong, China, proud rugby nation, home of the Hong Kong Sevens, of course. I'm sure several Sri Lankans have made their way to at some point. Standing experience, and no reason why Colombo can't have a similar event. Teams lining up for the national anthems now.
If you all could make your way.
Some of those dignitaries that we spoke about a little earlier, Abdullah, being introduced to the teams now. That's the Honourable Sports Minister, Mr. Sunil Kumar Agamage, accompanied by Supriyantha Ekanayaka, Chairman of the National Sports Council, and of course, in the lanyard behind them, the man who's been working hard to make sure that Sri Lanka rugby is where it is. President of Sri Lanka Rugby, Mr. Pavitra Fernando, former national captain.
Yes, Sports Minister has helped Sri Lankan rugby a lot, isn't it, Chanak, over the last couple of years. Spoke very proudly of the achievements just last week in Uzbekistan, where the men and the women both won the CASA Sevens Championship, Central Asia and South Asian Tournament, the inaugural championship. Both the Sri Lankan men's and women's sevens team doing extremely well. So probably will be a much more tougher competition today in the 15s, but there's no doubt that these players will definitely benefit from the experience.
Certainly will be a very, very different intensity that Sri Lanka up against this time. Yuan Pathirana on the end of the line there, former Royal skipper. Handed his debut against the New Zealand under-85s and acquitted himself pretty well. Thought he should maybe have got a few more minutes in that second match as well, but now he's up against it. Full international rugby, full-size team. Let's see what they can all do. The national anthems now.
Please remain standing for the national anthem of Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka Mata, Upper Sri Lanka, Namo, 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 Namo Mata. Sundara Siri Barini, Surandi Ati Sobhamana Lanka. Ranya Dhanaya Nekamal Palaturu Piri Jaya Bhumiya Ranya. Apa Hata Sapa Siri Seta Sadhana, Jivana Ye Mata. Pili Kanu Mena Apa Bhakti Puja, Namo Namo Mata. Apa Sri Lanka, Namo Namo, Namo Namo Mata. Obavi Apa Vidya, Obamaya Apa Satya, Obavi Apa Shanti, Apa Kula Bhakti, Oba Apa Aloke. අපගේ අනුප්‍රාණී ඔබ අප ජීවනවේ අප මුක්තිය ඔබ වේ නව ජීවන දෙමිනි නිතින අප පුබුදු කරන් වාතා ඥාන වීර්ය වඩවමින රැගෙන යනු මැන ජය මුනි කරා එක මවකගේ දරු කැලබැලිනා යමු යමු වී නොපමා ප්‍රේම වඩා සැනවේද දුරලලා නමෝ නමෝ මාතා අප ශ්‍රී ලංකා නමෝ 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 මාතා
The anthems are done. It's time for battle now between Sri Lanka and Hong Kong. 78-7 is how this finished last time at Hong Kong. And Hong Kong, China will be aiming to go a little bit better than that, but Sri Lanka certainly will want to close that 71-point gap that they found at the end of the scoreboard last year.
Yes, well, they're playing at home as well, so no doubt they'll want to put a much improved performance. But you have to say, Shanika, the key is probably going to be up front, isn't it? If they can get a bit of parity at set piece time, particularly the scrums, then I think they will be able to get close to achieving that target.
Fortunately, a couple of front row forwards not available for coach Dushant Leuke. Senra Pires has migrated. Janidu Fernando also not available. Abdullah Fai is not available for Sri Lanka. So these players could really have made a difference off the bench as well. But that engine room of Bandara and Marasinga have been faithful, have been diligent and hardworking. Let's see how they go. This man Therukananiakkara wearing 13 on his back, but will shift in to the number 12 position. And Hugh Alexander there in the number 11 shirt will want to get on the end of a few backline moves. Here are the two big men, Bandara and Marasinga. James Fairbairn says, let's go. And Hong Kong, China kick off right to left. Sri Lanka in the white. We'll be looking to Anura Pereira, making his debut for Sri Lanka. A big moment for him. And his left foot immediately into the box kicking, fielded by Dylan McCann. Oliver Pyle puts this high and deep, but into the safe hands of Yuan Patriana, also at the left boot. Kicks it, but only as far as Pyle again. And Pyle returns the favour. So a little bit of kick tennis to start off proceedings as Murshid Zubair once more gives it straight to Pyle. And Oliver Pyle this time decides enough is enough and he'll start to run. It's available for Anthony Corbett, but it's an untidy ball picked up by Patrick Jenkinson. Space now for Hong Kong, China. Nice flat ball. Hugh Alexander wanted to try and grubber it, but couldn't get his boot to the ball.
Yes, good work by passing to Bandara. Cut off the space immediately in defense. So after a bit of a kicking duel, we come for the first set scrum. And it'll be in favor of Sri Lanka. So how it goes here, Shanaka, could set the tone for the rest of the game.
Yes, it's one of those moments in a game that as a forward, you're always nervous, especially when you know you're up against a physically bigger team. Physically bigger doesn't mean much if your technique is very good, but that's what they'll find out right now. Immediately down in the front rows.
Yes, it'll be interesting to see the tactics that Sri Lanka will employ. There could be a quick strike and the distribution happening from the back of the scrum by Karunatilaka itself. They wouldn't want to keep it in the scrum for too long.
Yes, quick channel one has to be the call. Sri Lanka will be a little bit more confident after putting the New Zealand under-85s under a little bit of pressure in the last month. But you can see Lasindu Vishan bound in Channel 1 as well. And immediately it's a penalty. But the penalty goes the other way. So it's a penalty for Sri Lanka. And first hit at least for Sri Lanka. Pulling down is the call.
A good early momentum for the Sri Lanka forwards, and they will now look to build on from this, Abdullah.
Yeah, that's right. Sri Lanka probably would be pretty pleased with the penalty that they received. Dore drives play into the 22. And now another facet of the game, the line out. Of course, it's an area where Sri Lanka have been quite competent, primarily thanks to
I think the call came from the assistant referee at the bottom of your screen there. Quite clear that Thomas Chonchu was driving in and down on the loose head side against Vimukti Gamage. Well spotted by the assistant referee. Shamika Kaushan gives it to Tilina Bandara. They sack him, but he's managed to transfer it back. It's good work from the experienced lock. Andra Pereira waits. Hong Kong's line is up quickly, and that's a lovely floated ball. Yuan Patrana stands and passes, but passing to Bandara, the try scorer from the first occasion. Beautifully done by him, but they've come back for the forward pass. I think Yuan Patrana's pass, which he caught and swung on, might have just been deemed too flat.
Yes, well, Sri Lanka making intentions clear how they want to play that game. Hong Kong did rush up, isn't it, Shana? Because there was a bit of space that created out wide. Interesting tactic by Hong Kong at line out time. Have a look at that once again. It's this pass that was deemed forward. It's one of those 50-50 calls that could have gone either way, but now a very crucial part, Hong Kong's first scrum. There's no doubt that they will want to apply as much pressure on the Sri Lankan 8.
Well, it was a catch pass, wasn't it, Abdullah? And those tend to sometimes drift with the wind, especially towards the end of their trajectory. Thought maybe Yuan Patrana might have been a little unlucky there. Channel 1 bind again for Karuna Tilaka. And referee has made sure that this time he's right on the shoulder of Chonchu. That's good from Sri Lanka. Excellent from Sri Lanka as Dean Rousseau goes off the back. And he's brought down by the Sri Lanka skipper. Anthony Koba, under a little bit of pressure from Bandara, has to put it very high up. And first to react is Glenn Hui. Here's Pyle with a little bit of space. Lovely floated ball there. But Pasidu Bandara putting in a heavy shoulder on his opposite number. Jenkinson this time. Over the 50-meter mark for the first time in the game. Oliver Pyle. Anura Pereira going straight through on that ball. Poaching. Just couldn't gather the rebound as his opposite number, Colbert, now sets it up. And Joe Knight will act as halfback. It's been turned over. Sri Lanka had the ball. Wonder whether there could have been a bit of advantage there.
It's some good work by Naveen Marasinghe, getting in the midst there, forcing that legal clean out by Hong Kong. But that first scrum was pretty encouraging, wasn't it, Shanaga, by the local lads, applying a lot of pressure. And a touch finder by Murshid Zubair takes play into the 22 once again.
There was some good pressure from Sri Lanka all through those couple of phases where Hong Kong were playing. They were pushed back in the tackles as well by the Sri Lankan players, and this was where the turnover came from. Naveen Marasinghe looked as if he went off his feet, but the referee said that he had got the ball and then only he went back off his feet.
So line out lost by Sri Lanka. That won't please the coaching bench, as Dane Fury gets over the advantage line. Colombo asks for a little bit of room with his box kick, and it's well charged down by Tirina Bandari. He had the number of the little scrum half last time. And under all sorts of pressure, Oliver Pyle, as Sri Lanka pile into the breakdown. Good recovery from Dean Russo. And that's unfortunate for Sri Lanka that they give away that penalty. They really had Hong Kong backpedaling there, needed to keep that discipline.
Yeah, that's right. They had Hong Kong under a bit of pressure there. Brilliant work by Thilina Bandara, blocking that kick. Unfortunately, Sri Lanka just needed to hold their composure on that occasion and make Hong Kong clear their lines. Just having a look at that once again. I think it was just that side entry. I think it was Alna Pereira not coming through the gate. Or was it Murshid Zubair?
Another wobbly line out. And once again, Hong Kong are the first to react. Yuan Patrina, though, now has a little bit of space and a little bit of grass to aim at as well. It's bounced dangerously, and it's only the big man that's going back. Patrina does well to get to him and allow him to place. Colombo looks for Russo. Russo will give Oliver Pyle a little bit of an angle to try and clear this ball. And Colombo this time taking no chances, takes a step back and smacks it into touch. So Sri Lanka have another opportunity.
Bit of worrying signs there. Yuan Patirana have getting a bit of ice on his shoulder. Hopefully that's just a stinger.
So the lineout's a little messy from both teams. Both have gone against the throw. And this is an area of the game that Sri Lanka were very good at against the New Zealand under 85s, but the change in Hukka Pulasi Dasanayaka suffering that shoulder injury, but Shamika Kaushan that time finding his mark. Pereira. Marasinghe, it's his first opportunity to unleash. Tarindu Chaturanga now without a halfback, so will opt to move the point of attack. Hansita De Silva with a good run. Murshid Zubair, it's an untidy pass, and Gamunu Chetia is the man that takes it. He's got acceleration. Murshid Zubair again. Lovely hands from the Sri Lanka team, but Pasidu Bandara had just overrun it. Taken quickly. Hong Kong spotting the space, and now this ball will bounce dangerously. Is it going to be a 50-22, or will Haruna Pereira win the race to the ball? He does, but the result is the same.
Yes, well, that was a bit unfortunate. Pasidu Bandara probably slightly flat, and Hong Kong thinking quick, wasn't it? A quick line out, realized that the entire Sri Lankan line was up in attack, identified the space, and for the first time in the game, Hong Kong have made their way into the Sri Lanka 22.
Another technical mistake in the line out from Hong Kong. They will take the scrum, Sri Lanka.
Not straight was the call by the referee, as Sri Lanka will not risk their chances with another line out, and they opt for a scrum. Now it's all about clearing their lines for Sri Lanka, Abdullah.
That's right, they just need to get out of the 22. Another test. The first scrum was pretty impressive when Hong Kong had the ball. They did apply quite a bit of pressure on the Hong Kong front row.
This time Hong Kong will get the shove on, as they do. But Aruna Pereira gets it back nicely. Good channeling from Latin Divishan. But Murshid Zubair hasn't found the safety of the touchline. Here's Dylan McCann. Good tackle on him. Superb work from Denuan Wickramaratchi, who was up quickly, the flanker. Colombo now to the other flanker, this time Joseph Knight. Tarindu Chaturanga holding his head, hoping it's not something too serious, as Dane Fury carries it up strongly. That looked like it might not have much arms in it from Shamika Kaushan, but escapes the attention of the referee. Wickramaratchi comes away with the ball.
Call coming from the AR for knock on from White. Unfortunately, Sri Lanka just unable to keep hold of possession, and now Hong Kong China will have another opportunity to build on from the 40-meter mark.
So we're into 12 minutes of this first half. Sri Lanka so far have held their own, have matched up to the Hong Kong team physically. Just doing it, the real test will be to see if they'll be able to do it over an 80-minute period, but so far, so good.
It's good work from the Sri Lanka scrum. Really excellent work. And Dean Rousseau in all sorts of trouble at the back of that Hong Kong scrum. And this, the Sri Lankan team, will really take a lot of confidence from.
Yeah, that's right. Another very strong counter drive by the Sri Lankans, putting Rousseau under a bit of pressure. Wickremarachi getting in there, making that tackle. Rousseau probably would have done well to break from that same side as well and go on the short side, isn't it, Chanika, because the wheel was the other way.
I think Abdullah Aruna Pereira did really well to stay in his eye line from the on the blind side, and that's what made him break from the wrong side of the scrum, and that put him under even more pressure.
Lasandu Ishar, of course, used to being at the back of scrums that go back at international level, so it's a skill set that you really have to come to grips with, picking up in a backpedaling scrum. Anura Pereira this time to Murshid Zubair. Once again, not a lot of space. The pass was not where he needed it, Zubair, but no options. That looked like it was stolen away on the floor, but legal for Fairbairn. Nice long ball over the top to Dylan McCann as he's tracked by Arosh Ratnayaka. Joseph Knight. Penalty coming for Hong Kong, and yes, there was a little bit of indiscipline. They'll have a chat to Aruna Pereira, I think.
At the looks of it, there were two penalty advantages come in the way of Hong Kong China. The last one was where the Sri Lankan player took just a second too long to roll away. Now a moment for the two teams to just catch their breath. Hong Kong China, they will not be too pleased with the first 15 minutes of play. They have not been able to break the Sri Lankan defensive line, Abdullah.
Yes, and the good thing is Sri Lanka haven't been afraid to get into it, isn't it? They got into the faces of the Hong Kong team, showed that they're not going to take a back foot, and they have really applied some good pressure. But now Hong Kong with a penalty. Like
but the unfortunate thing there, Abdullah, was that it was Sri Lanka's ball. They had a good ball off the scrum, and just a little bit of inaccuracy between 9 and 10. Don't forget, this is a new combination as well. Probably the third scrum half that Murshid Zubair is playing with in as many games. So they need to tidy that up, make sure that he gets the ball where he wants so he can execute the play. But Arosh Ratnayak also on his Tuskers debut did well to make the tackles, as David Tang throws in to the line out. Jenkinson takes it easily at the front, and Hong Kong drive it forward but collapse under their own weight. And that's really well done by Sri Lanka. Got right in there, Dittirina Bandara. Superb work from the big lock.
Yes, and you have to say, so far the Sri Lankan 8 have acquitted themselves really well in that forwards battle. Scrum time as well as in the mauls. Just have a look at that once again. Clean take by Patrick Jenkinson. The maul was formed, but the good thing is you can see all the Sri Lankan players, they got in there. Tilna Bandara right there at the end. Some good pressure being applied.
It's an important scrum for Sri Lanka to clear with. Nicely done, and that's even better work from Joseph Knight. I thought he did really well to fly off the side of that scrum and interrupt Anura Pereira, but referee James Fairbairn, not liking what he saw, thought it was an offside.
By the looks of it, he was just in front of the last defender. The scrum turns, and you could question whether he's bound completely as well, even though the ball is out, and he takes the hand of the scrum half as well, Shanaka.
Well, referee Fairbairn spot on there. He noticed that the bind had been loosened before the ball was out of the scrum, so if he actually flew out there while he was bound, then it would have been perfectly fine. But he did leave his bind, and he needed to get back behind the last foot as soon as he did that.
So Zubair taking play back into the Hong Kong half. In the Kaushan finding his mark this time. Mara Singha being hit, but the ball being taken back, and Zubair kicks it deep. It's Alexander, or rather it's Dylan McCain, who safely puts it into touch, but yet a net gain for Sri Lanka.
A good net gain on that occasion. Naveen Marasinghe did lose the ball backwards, but Zubair cleaned things up, and now Sri Lanka will have another opportunity, Shanaka, from the opposite end of the field to build on.
Well, they really want Naveen Marasinghe to practice that ball security. It's an area of his game that even at club rugby needs to improve as they go flat and long. Here's some numbers now. Chaithya to Yuvan Pathirana. Chips it over the top, and the ball bounces unkindly, but once again the referee will call it back.
Forward pass by the looks of it. I think it was a touch judge again who called it. On the first wave, the referee thought it was fine and let it go, but the assistant referee did not flinch once he stopped, as you can see on this replay, Shanaka.
Yes, I think the problem there from Sri Lanka's point of view is the entire three-quarter is rather flat, isn't it? They probably need to just come into that with a little bit more depth, because there does seem to be space created out wide. Pasindu Bandara coming off his wing to create that extra man.
That's the interesting thing, is it, Abdullah, from a technical point of view? All these players now, they play expecting the spiral pass from their inside man, as Hong Kong, China now. That pass is not very accurate either, as Hugh Alexander has to do something with it. He's chopped down by Denuwan Wickremarachi and piling in to the breakdown were Hong Kong. And they've marched. Hong Kong, China march 10 meters forward free of charge as Sri Lanka don't release the ball up. So Hugh Alexander had to pick up a scrappy ball, and Denuwan Wickremarachi's tackle was not legal as they flew into it. Let's watch it here. Alexander chopped down by Wickremarachi, and then we had Aruna Pereira who went in, and somehow that penalty went against Sri Lanka.
I think Aruna Pereira was caught for jackling around the neck of the opponent and not the ball. But now it's an opportunity for Dylan McCain to open the scoring. It has taken Hong Kong China 20 minutes. And after a bit of jitters and line-outs that didn't work, they have opted for 3 points, and that's the opening points of this game off the boot of Dylan McCain for Hong Kong China.
And it also signals the 20-minute water break that has been the norm in Sri Lanka of recent past, because it's just so humid and so hot. Dylan McCain smashing that straight through the posts, no problems at all. But it's a moral victory for Sri Lanka that Hong Kong actually looked to take the points, and that it's taken them 20 minutes, quarter of the game, to open their account.
Yeah, that's right. Sri Lanka have done well, especially in terms of the contact area, isn't it, Shanaka? It's an area where they're particularly worried. It's just that that coordination and fluency, whenever they try to spread the ball, hasn't quite been on mark. They've had a couple of opportunities where it has been deemed that the ball pass had gone forward. They've managed to create a bit of space, but I think the longer they try and persist with that kind of a game plan, they expect them to sooner or later just get the desired results.
Well, it's unfortunate, isn't it, Abdullah, because of the inaccuracy in the back play. And that's as a result of Lacinta Di Costa, who's suddenly taken over as head coach of his school. And he wasn't able to continue with the Sri Lanka team. ThePapare has come in and has not had a lot of time. These are all new players. And with that technical aspect of everyone expecting the spiral pass, lining up a little bit flatter because that spiral ball travels a lot faster through the air. So players are used to that, especially in their shadow play. And they've got to just adjust now when they know that the man inside them can't throw the spiral pass. They've got to hold themselves back a little bit. This is experience. It should come. But it's also the fact that these players have not had a lot of time together to have that understanding.
Yes, we're on Shanaga. And also the thing that they've just got to keep in mind is Sri Lanka has been managing to hold their own at the breakdown as well as set piece. So they are going to get a bit of possession. It's just a matter of them just sorting it out, getting that communication and that alignment right, and they could very well be in business.
Denukanane Carter to restart us after the water break. Hong Kong China have just got their first 3 points as Oliver Pyle will put this into touch. Not a huge distance on it because he had to find a long way from under the post to the touchline. Dylan McCann with the opening points of the match. And the opening points of this Asian Rugby Emirates Men's Championship for 2026. Dean Rousseau has been backpedaling a bit in the scrums. That's not something he would have expected getting off the plane or getting off the bus this morning. But again, it's overthrown by Shamika Kaushan and overthrown crooked. So these are unforgivable errors. The new man finding his way into the hooker's shirt. Pulasti Dasanayaka will be having his arm in a sling and shaking his head. But Kaushan has to step up.
Certainly, he will be extremely disappointed and will be hoping to clean things up. But from Hong Kong, China's point of view, they now receive a scrum in their own half and they will be looking to spread it wide, even though their accuracy too has not been as what we would have all been hoping for.
But you can clearly see that there, even in Hong Kong, China, there is a gap, isn't there, Abdullah, between that first tier of players who have qualified now and are away at the Nations Cup preparing for the World Cup. There seems to be a significant daylight in quality between the first string and the second.
Yes, that's right, and you'd expect that to happen as well, Shanaga. Probably most of those players are probably absolute professionals. Don't know the background of these players, but that's another good scrum by Sri Lanka. Hong Kong, they're managing to hold on to possession. Now just kicking deep. It's a good kick, finding a lot of space, but looks like referee has spotted a penalty.
Not sure what that one was for. Fortunately, in the commentary box, we don't have the referee's mic available to us at the moment. I think the referee, James Fairbairn, has just signaled for offside, so Sri Lanka might have been up too quickly off that scrum.
I think that's the only possible way they could have been offside on that face there, the Sri Lankan three quarters. But now again being marched backwards, the forwards will not be too pleased with that.
Again, an untidy line out. First man to the pump is Shamika Kaushan. He was going down and he was taken around his neck. There's two knock forwards there apparently, and Hong Kong China will get the scrum. We'll be interested to see that passage of play again. Lakala Pereira, the new coach of the Sri Lankan backs, on the hat on your right there. Hong Kong to feed. It's a better scrum from Hong Kong China as Papare comes to make an extra man on the short side. But good tackle in the end by Gamunu Chetia. Aruna Pereira brings down Dane Fury. And here's David Tang. Papare again looking for the box kick. This has been the preferred mode of attack for Hong Kong. Once again, Sri Lanka giving away an unnecessary penalty. Their discipline is really letting them down.
Will be interesting to see from where that high tackle came.
Yeah, I wonder if our producers can give us a replay to see where the high tackle came from. Would have been when Papare made the break down the short side. Referee deeming there's no advantage. Didn't seem like our cameras caught anything there. Murshid Zubair as stupefied as we are. Then Rousseau carries into his opposite number. Not one to step away from contact is Lasundu Vishan Karunatilaka, and Tirina Bandara gets his hand in the way, but it's a penalty.
Trouble for Tilina Bandara and Sri Lanka. The referee deeming that there would have been an opportunity for a line break and going to his pocket for the first yellow card of this game, Janaka. Quite baffling, you could say, on second viewing.
Well, let's have a look at it again. But Tirina Bandara's hand definitely did interfere with the ball. There certainly did seem to be men over for Hong Kong China. But whether he was going genuinely for a tackle is what we'll have to say. This is a development in the game, Abdullah, that is really confusing and really difficult for players to manage. He's made that signal. That's a deliberate knockdown. We'll see whether it really was from Tirina Bandara.
Yes, well, regardless, Sri Lanka will really need to manage this next 10 minutes. So have a look at that once again. Bandara probably knew what he was doing, Shanak. I don't think too many arguments with that, to be fair.
No, absolutely not. Tirina Bandara, sneaky little hand coming out and hoping that the referee wouldn't notice. But notice he did, and he finds himself in the bin. You have to say it was not a good way to allow Hong Kong China into the game. But Sri Lanka, his forwards, the 7 of them remaining on the pitch, have done well.
They certainly have done well, defended that maul, even though they were being backpedaled, the Sri Lankan forwards. They made sure that the ball was not taken out of the maul, and when they tried to clear their lines, Hong Kong China just lost possession of it.
It's good to see how hard the forwards worked at that maul. Is Chanaka always got back onto their feet, got in there, and eventually just putting up enough resistance to force the error.
Yes, the Hong Kong China forwards really working like cart horses there, but the Sri Lankan team equal to the task, forcing the knock-on. Anura Pereira with that big left boot of his manages to find just enough touch to get Sri Lanka out of the 22.
Once again, a good scrum by Sri Lanka, just managing to hold their own with 7 players. David Tang with the throw-in. It's comfortable take with Tilna Bandara not being there. Hong Kong now on the attack. Once again, terrific defense by the Sri Lankans, getting off their line. Lasidu Karunatilaka and Chaturanga. Hong Kong attacking along the short side. Colbert trying to continue to get some front football through his forwards, but you'd have to say the Sri Lankans doing extremely well. They managed to get that knock on. Once again, terrific defense by the Sri Lankans.
Very quick to blow that up, referee James Fairbairn. Sri Lanka had a counter-attack ball available to them and had men over on the open side. Might have wanted to have a crack.
Yes, I don't think Sri Lanka want to go from set piece to set piece. So far they have done well, but it's you sense it could be taking a lot out of the forward pack as well.
There's only one team that would profit from this stop-start kind of encounter, and playing a little bit more advantage would certainly be beneficial to Sri Lanka.
The inside pass from here, just left behind there. He did not seem to expect it. The Hong Kong China player. But now another scrum for Sri Lanka, and they will certainly be hoping to clear their lines. Aruna Perera clears it to Dore. Doesn't have the option of going out on the full. Straight into the hands of the fullback Dylan. Good tackle made by Tardu Chaturanga. But now the little number 9 Anthony coming and giving it out to his forwards. Quick hands by the front row players there. Taking it up into contact was David. Still Hong Kong China not making too much of meters, and with nothing really on, Anthony goes to his boot. Good box kick, or rather let bounce, but Aruna Perera now isolated. But he was isolated, and unfortunately the Sri Lankan attackers did not find him in time, as a penalty goes the way of Hong Kong China.
Yes, it's this high kick that's causing a few problems for the Sri Lankan team. No one really calling for it, allowing it to bounce. And Aruna Perera that time, I thought he either should have put his boot straight through the ball or tried to find some willing runners outside him, but going into the heavy stuff was probably the third and last option he should have taken.
Yes, he was in a couple of minds as well. He did rather two minds, if you have a look at that. Got hold of the ball, looked for the pass, but Hong Kong defense seemed to have come up. I just think that he went down far too easily. Shanghai needed to probably stay on his feet a second or two more to allow his supporting players to arrive for the breakdown. The mistake there was he just dropped his shoulders below his hips, so he went right onto the ground. And some really good work by the Hong Kong forwards to try and jackal and get that penalty.
I think Barnaby Hornbury did really well there, because he came in from the blind side for Aruna Perera. I think Aruna Perera thought the man in front of him was the only defender that was on him. And by the time Barnaby sidled in, he was too late for Aruna Perera to change his decision. But good jackling technique.
David Bennett has been substituted off. May have been a head injury. As time has been called back on by the referee. Holding on, says, as Oliver puts the ball into touch and takes Hong Kong China about 7 meters out from the Sri Lanka try line, and they will be licking their lips, the forwards.
Yes, it will be a shame for Sri Lanka to concede in this 10 minutes before half time, because they have really done well to keep Hong Kong tryless for so long. but the dam had to break at some point. It looks like it's going to break through a driving maul. It's been brought down. And Sri Lanka have done exceptionally well again to not allow Hong Kong to transfer that ball through the hands. And Tharidu Chaturanga getting the pats on the back. He has been immense so far.
Yes, well, he always has been, isn't it, Shanaga, when he puts on that white jersey for club or country. Real workhorse. One of those players who can really say genuinely puts his body on the line for his team. Sri Lanka doing really well here at line-out time.
No contest. That inside shoulder catch is no problem according to the new law interpretations. But somehow someone went in there and managed to prevent that ball coming out.
I think Hong Kong China will be extremely disappointed to have not transferred that ball from that maul early on, but now they have also conceded a penalty at the scrum. So this is another opportunity for Sri Lanka to clear their lines and give their forwards a moment for a breather.
So once again, brilliant work by the Sri Lankan 8. First thwarting that line-out drive and then putting a bit of pressure on the front row of the Hong Kong scrum. Being adjudicated that the knee went down. Just have a look at it.
Watch it here on this side. You can see the tight head prop losing his footing there. And that's Struan Main. Lashindu Ishan now Sri Lanka through their line-out ball. Pereira. Sri Lanka will not want to play too much rugby in this 40-meter mark, and once again well over the ball. That time was Hong Kong, but somehow not surviving the clean out, and Anura Pereira putting it back for Oliver Pyle to just juggle a little bit, dropped it backwards. Colombo calling for the blindside move. Once again the tackle made by Shamika Kaushan. Close in. Colombo. Once again with that really high kick which has caused a few problems. Zubair. Again Sri Lanka, once they catch, they don't really have a plan. Looks like Zubair has got his knee down and eventually the tacklers needed to release. Kaushan acting as scrum half and leaving the ball behind once again was Marasinghe. Picked up gratefully by Joseph Knight, and now Hong Kong can counter. Stepping in was Dean Squire, the captain. Open side, and it's a terrible ball from Kobe, and now Gamanu Chetia will pin his ears back. Getting back quickly was Charles Hickson Smith. And somehow Hong Kong have managed to track back and save their winger. And Kobe will go to the touchline, but encouraging stuff from Sri Lanka and Anura Pereira now. Sri Lanka playing really unstructured here. Still 3 points only in the game. Taken up by Vimukti Gamage. Pereira. Karunatilaka looking to unleash his spacey backs. Zubair. Nothing happening outside him, and Dean Rousseau wraps him up in a bear hug. This Pereira. Once again for the big forwards to carry. Yuan Patrana dropping it onto that left foot once again. Not sure that was the correct option. Another high shot. And once again the advantage call coming, or the penalty call coming a little earlier for Oliver Poyle's liking.
Yes, that's a bit unfortunate. Sri Lanka did manage to get a bit of momentum. I think the problem that Sri Lanka is having is, Shanaka, the ball from the ruck is far too slow, isn't it? Even if it's front foot ball, they just seem to be taking that extra second to sling it out. Probably shows lack of coordination or understanding. Another wonderful chip ahead by Yuan Patirana. Passing the Bandara, though, needed to probably do a bit better. As you can see, hand going across the neck, and therefore penalized.
Line out this time, tapped back, but Sri Lanka just unable to clean it up was Shamika Kaushan. But the referee points that the first knock-on was from Hong Kong, China. So the scrum will be in favour of Sri Lanka. And this is prime possession for the Tuskers to attack from. By the looks of it, Sri Lanka have been restored back to their 15. So Thilina Bandara is back, and they will be back to full strength, Shanaka.
Yes, it's really important they run a strike play here, Romario. There's only a couple of minutes left for half time, and the only way they're going to get around these outside backs is if they can stand them up. Taken quickly by Pereira. Zubair Telukananayakkara touching the ball for the first time in this game, I would think.
I think that may very well would have been a blessing in disguise that the referee did not allow Aruna to take that quick tap. It will be a decision time, and what would Sri Lanka do from this penalty? Going into half-time, level on the scoreboard will no doubt be quite a massive psychological advantage for the hosts, Shanaka.
It certainly will. There's been a free kick. Early engagement is a call. Free kick in the scrum.
Massive hit coming in there by the Sri Lankan ball carriers. Now to the line they go. Yuan again. Not the best of passes there by Patirana. He'll be kicking himself, and so will his teammates will be surely showing their displeasure at that forward pass, Abdullah.
Yes, on that occasion I thought Basidu Bandara did run with a good bit of depth, but Yuan Patirana just slinging that pass across without much control. This time, of course, very clearly going forward. It's unfortunate the Sri Lankan threes just haven't been able to get their coordination right, isn't it? Couple of wraparound plays. Patirana never quite gripped that ball properly to make that pass. So just a few seconds remaining for half time. It's been a real battle of attrition between both these teams. Not much fluency shown by either party. But from the positive from the Sri Lankan side, I think at set piece play, they have shown that they can compete and on occasions even dominate. And also in the context of the game, Sean, you could have to say that those crucial 10 minutes when Thilina Bandara was off the field, Sri Lanka managed to keep Hong Kong scoreless.
A bit of claret coming off his face there. Vimukti gets it cleaned up, and now preparing for yet another scrum in this game. There have been quite a few, and another opportunity for Hong Kong China to clear their lines. Anthony feeding it in. And coming in for the second time as Denuan brings the big number 8 to the floor, Dean Russo. Now Hong Kong China trying to make headway, but a great jackal there by the skipper for Sri Lanka. He does really well, does Lasindu Karunatilaka, and in a strong position. There was no moving him from there as the penalty goes the way of Sri Lanka.
Impeccable technique from Lasindu Karunatilaka. Had an even better drive down the line from Murshid Zubair to give Sri Lanka only 5 meters to the try line on the stroke of half time. Here he is again. Good tackle from Navin Marasinghe, a good chop tackle. He released and got away in time. And Lasindu Ishan, they just couldn't shift him. The two big Hong Kong forwards, Jenkinson and Joseph Knight, trying to shift Lasindu but couldn't manage to move the Sri Lankan captain away from that jackal. And here's Sri Lanka now with the ball. Couldn't set up the drive, but they will pick and go, and once again a penalty conceded. They've given away far too many of these, and despite that have stayed in the fight on the scoreboard.
Yes, have to say wasted opportunity for the horse. Probably for the first time not getting good clean line out ball. And Hong Kong just have put it into touch, and they will go into half time with a 3-0, 3-0 lead. And what you'd have to say has been a pretty stop-start first half between both these teams.
Certainly has, and a solitary penalty off the boot of Oliver Pyle is the only 3 points that separate the two teams as they go back into the sheds for half time. 3 points to the good Hong Kong China. Sri Lanka, they will be hoping for a bit of better fortune as they head into the second half.
Very different scoreline from a year ago. 3-0 Hong Kong China leading here in Colombo in this first match of the Asian Rugby Emirates Men's Championship. We'll be back after the halftime break.
The tradition continues. From signature clashes to heart-stopping endings. Every pass, every tackle, every try writes a new chapter in Sri Lanka schools rugby history. Old rivals, new challengers, underdogs who rise with one dream. Dialog Schools Rugby League 2026. Live on Dialog Television, Dialog Play and ThePapare.com.
ලොව අංක එකේ ක්‍රිකට් සැනකෙලිය නැවතත් තියුණු තරගකාරීත්වයේ උණුසුම දැන් ඔබේ නිවසටම IPL උන්මාදයට Dialog Television සමග එක්වන්න රුපියල් 397කට IPL පාස් එක සක්‍රිය කරගෙන මුළු IPL සීසන් එකම Star Sports නාලිකා ඔස්සේ නරඹන්න. සක්‍රිය කිරීමට ඔබේ දුරකථනයෙන් on හිස්තැනක් DTV හිස්තැනක් ඔබේ ගෙනුම් අංකය හිස්තැනක් 2026 ලෙස ටයිප් කර 0770 679 679ට SMS කරන්න.
From the Caribbean rhythm to the Lion Nation roar, this is a clash of flair, fire, and fearless cricket. 3 ODIs, 3 explosive T20s, and 2 classic test matches. Sri Lanka Tour of West Indies 2026, 3rd of June to 7th of July. Catch the action live on the Papare 1, the Papare 1 HD, and Dialog Play.
Two proud nations, one epic rivalry, and a tour that promises fire. From raw pace to fearless stroke play, from moments of brilliance to battles that define champions.
Edge there, he's gone, didn't take
Australia arrives in Pakistan for 3 epic ODIs from the 30th May to the 4th of June. Catch the action live on the Papare 2, the Papare 2 HD, Dialog Play and ThePapare.com.
Elevate your game with the Papare, Sri Lanka's ultimate sports destination. Experience every heartbeat and every goal like never before. From cricket to football, rugby to athletics, we capture the spirit of every sport that ignites our passion. Relive legendary moments, exclusive interviews and expert commentary, all in one place. Join us for live coverage of thrilling matches and events, bringing you closer to the action. Together, we unite a nation through the love of sports. Tune in to the Papare, your home for all things sports. Live the action, feel the excitement.
Every generation gets one moment, one chance to carry a nation's pride. From the 25th to the 29th of May, Sri Lanka, India, Bangladesh, Maldives come together for the future of basketball. FIBA Under-18 Asia Cup Sabah Qualifiers 2026. Catch the action live on the Papare, Sri Lanka's #1 sports channel.
Haye paharwal Diunu kadulu dawa ganeem මේ කිසිම දෙයක් මගහැර ගන්න එපා. කොතැන සිටියත් ඕනෑම වෙලාවක සජීවීව IPL අත්දැකීම දැන් ඔබේ අතටම. IPL උන්මාදයට Dialog Play සමග එක්වන්න. අදම Dialog Play App එක ඩවුන්ලෝඩ් කර රුපියල් 278ක් රීලෝඩ් කරන්න. Star Sports නාලිකාව ඔස්සේ මුළු IPL තරගාවලියම සජීවීව නරඹන්න.
Going to the hands of the fielder. What a catch!
The legends return to rule. The rivalries reignited. Cricket's greatest names. One epic series. Asian Legends League 2026. From the 2nd to the 14th of June. Catch the action live on the Papare 2, Dialog Play and ThePapare.com. Elevate your game with the Papare, Sri Lanka's ultimate sports destination. Together, we unite a nation through the love of sports. Tune in to the Papare, your home for all things sports. Live the action, feel the excitement. The biggest spectacle in franchise cricket, Indian Premier League, is back for another thrilling season. Sri Lanka's finest stars and the global icons are ready to set the grandest stage of them all ablaze. Every six that shakes the stadium, every yorker that silences the crowd, every moment that stops your heart. Don't just watch it, feel it. Live on ThePapare.com.
This happened. Oh, what an effort. Cope technique.
The tradition continues, from signature clashes to heart-stopping endings.
Welcome back to this second half from the Asia Rugby Emirates Championship game from Racecourse. The first half, well, it was a scrappy half by both teams, kicked off by Hong Kong, China. And there were plenty of penalties, plenty of knock-ons and scrums in that first half. And just a solitary penalty off the boot of Oliver Pyle is the only 3 points that separates the two teams. Sri Lanka lost Tilina Bandara to a yellow card, but their defense held firm as they managed to keep Hong Kong China at bay, and they are somehow still in this game, are the hosts Sri Lanka. Just 3 points separating the two teams, with the fans enjoying some ice cream with the heat back, and the rains have passed, hopefully, as I have Shanaka and Abdullah alongside me in the combox. Both teams still well and truly in the game, and I think Sri Lanka will no doubt be hoping for a bit of clean ball and a bit of better coordination as they look to get off in this second half. Shanaka.
Well, coordination doesn't seem to be the strong suit this Sunday, Romario, as everyone seems to be doing their own thing when they should be in coordinated efforts. But the takeaway from that half, 40 minutes of international rugby and not a single try scored, Abdullah. Both teams really not able to convert pressure into points, not able to really execute skills under pressure, and that's something that Dean Squire, who's leading his team out today, would have spoken about at halftime.
Yes, and both teams, as a matter of fact, both teams just unable to get any fluency to their play. Both teams actually, you'd have to say, shared position 50-50. But from Sri Lanka's point of view, what they'll probably be really pleased is with how they managed to compete at scrum time as well as the breakdown. They never seemed to be out of their depth in that area, which was the case last year, so that's a positive. But they will really like to try and just probably play this game in this half with a bit more width, if possible, and try and just trouble Hong Kong in those outside channels.
Would be nice to see referee James Fairbairn also allowing play to go on. It's an error-riddled game, so maybe a bit more advantaged play to allow these teams to get behind each other. That's something that we, from a entertainment perspective, could hope for. But from a Sri Lankan point of view, the fact that they haven't taken a backward step against this much bigger Hong Kong China side is something that they can take away a lot of confidence from. Thenukanane Akara gets us underway in the second half of this first match of the Asian Rugby Emirates Men's Championship, as the first run by Charlie Higson Smith is an intentional one. Dean Squire puts his boot through it only as far as Murshid Zubair. Nice hand off of the ball to Pasindu Bandara.
Play on, first man. Off your feet now, you're off your feet. Use it!
Good turnover from Hong Kong China in the first breakdown of the half. So they've come out being told that they need to attack. It's been knocked on and played by the man in front, so interestingly not a penalty.
Terrific rush defense by Sri Lanka. Have a look at that once again. Sped off the line. Got in the eye line of the receiver as well, so he took his eyes off the ball.
Drop!
So Sri Lanka seems to have made a change. They have bought Vidunesh Amanath in place of Aruna Pereira. So intentions are pretty clear. They look to try and quicken the pace of the game in this second half.
Looks like both teams have got a bit of a talking to from the respective coaching teams. Oh, and that's a statement. That's a real statement from the Hong Kong China team, who would have been a little embarrassed at halftime, you have to say. Easily 10 kilos a man heavier in the forward pack. And this doesn't look good for Shamika Kaushan. That scrum went back at a rate of knots.
So they probably feel that Sri Lanka also just took their eye off the ball, isn't it? They probably needed a quick strike. Probably thought that they'll be able to hold on. It was there was really no strike at all, wasn't it, Shanaka? Kept it probably a tad too long in the scrum, and some brilliant work by the Hong Kong 8, supplying the pressure and winning the penalty.
Yes, that was Vimukti Gamage on the loose head side that really struggled there, lost his footing, and it looks like Struan Main who has come on. has caused a few problems at tight head for the Sri Lanka front row. Oliver Pyle will kick to touch.
Doesn't find touch, or he does. Tried extremely hard, did Tilna Bandar to keep it in the field of play, but just unable to do so. Now an opportunity for Hong Kong China from just inside the 22. Line out secured as their maul springs to life for Hong Kong China. Sri Lanka defense managing to hold on.
Get out! Signage.
Referee screaming for the Sri Lanka number 3 to get out from there, but just did not hear.
I was screaming at you to get out. Entry.
Did the Sri Lanka loose head prop forward De Silva, as
number 3 entry.
Another penalty goes the way of Hong Kong China. Shanaka.
Yes, side entry from Vivek Gamaga, very clear. You could see his body angle as he joined that driving maul. Let's watch it again here. Here he is starting at the back. He will argue that he joined from the correct position and the body swung around. But those arguments will be to no avail as Jenkinson brings this ball down.
Once backwards.
David Tang controlling at the back. Lasindu Vishan once again gets in there. And now Colbert with nobody really to pass to. Twisting and turning out of the tackle was Hugh Alexander. Dean Rousseau.
Stay there, 7. Stay there.
Hong Kong will want to make a statement early doors in this half. Sri Lanka, their discipline letting them down early on. Jenkinson, quick short pass to Joseph Knight. Pick up and go, and just reaching for it. You have to think Dean Rousseau will get this over the line. Latches on. And in the end, it's a try for Glenn Hui.
The big lock forward. They did have momentum on their side, did Hong Kong China, and he managed to pick and go, and he was too big and too strong from that range to be stopped rather by the Sri Lanka defense. As we have a look at the replay, Abdullah.
Yes, some good pick and goes along the fringes. I think what was good about that, Shanak, it was done at pace, isn't it? There was not too many watching and waiting. Didn't allow the Sri Lankan defense to settle in. And some wonderful body position as well by Glenn Hui, who gets the first try of this game.
15.
Should be a fairly easy conversion for Dylan McCann.
Yep.
And in the end, it's in those 5-meter channels that the body position and the body weight really makes a difference, gentlemen. And you could see very early on in the piece that that's where Hong Kong want to play their rugby.
I think Dana Fari's pick and go is the one that broke the back of the Sri Lankan defensive line. He went well past the gain line, and from the resulting ensuing pick and go by Glenn, they managed to finish.
Well done by Sri Lanka to get that ball back, and in the end somehow it's still in a Bandara.
Play on.
Again, really inaccurate from Sri Lanka at the breakdown. Tenukanane Akara to Murshid Zubair. Little bit of a kick pass. And referee James Fairbairn says backwards for me, but gets overruled by his assistant.
Yes, once again the Sri Lankan three-quarter line just not being able to execute. Shows that this unit just hasn't played together enough, isn't it, Shanaka? We compare with the forwards, quite a few of those forwards have played together as a unit. Execution is much better. Now, for me, this is a crucial scrum in this second half. That first scrum after the half time, Sri Lanka did struggle, so it'll be interesting to see how they fare at scrum this time around.
Shamika Kaushan has made way for Wenro Kodagoda. Two substitutes coming on early on for Sri Lanka in this game. Maybe hoping for much
Crouch!
Better play as
Fine!
Anthony Kobe prepares to feed the scrum. The Hong Kong scrum holding firm.
Good work from Sri Lanka as Oliver Pyle dummies through the first tackle. Dan Rousseau.
You're off your feet, you're off your feet, you're off your feet, let go. No, you're off your feet, elbows on the floor, elbows on the floor. Use it, 9, there's the ball.
Still available for Colbert.
3, 2, 1.
Well, there were significantly large gaps between the 3, the 2 and the 1, allowing Anthony Colbert to make sure he kicked on the 1. And he is taken by Tenuka Nanayakkara. Nanayakkara with space, gives it to Viduna Amanet and the scrum half, who's just come off the bench. Manages to get the first try for the home team, much to the joy of the smattering of home supporters here at the racecourse.
A bit of luck going their way for Sri Lanka, and the bouncing ball collected by Tenuka Nanayakkara. They don't have the gas to go all the way, and thankfully had Viduna Amanet.
I'm going to allow things to continue until...
Well, they're checking the final pass here. Did look a little flat once again. Sri Lanka, maybe in an international match, this is up there for the record number of forward passes. But Tenuka Nanayakkara
30 seconds on the kick, please.
made that pass to Viduna Amanet, and just looks like he's managed to get it flat enough for the try to stand.
And Nanayakkara has made no mistake with the conversion, so it's 7 points to 10. Absolutely against the run of play. A fumble by the Hong Kong backs, which was pounced on by Nanayakkara, who linked up really well with Amanat to get the first score for Sri Lanka.
Just hold, just hold, just hold, just hold.
Substitution coming for Hong Kong as we have a look at that replay. The bouncing ball by Dylan McCann was picked up by Tenuka Nanayakkara, and I think he did well to put his hands forward and make that pass, and it did seem to be coming backwards as the restart has been collected well, Shanaka.
Basic skill executions from Tenuka Nanayakkara. Nice to see heads up play from him. Viduna Amanet's box kick is not great, but now it's there for Jenkinson.
You're off your feet.
Here it is again, a bit of untidy ball for Dylan McCann to clean up. He does well, the fullback, to dance through.
Use it.
And set it up once again for Dane Rousseau, who has carried devastatingly well in open play.
That's good.
David Tang.
Let go, let go. Use 9.
Colbert to Joseph Knight, stepping on the weak shoulder. Taken down by Zubair.
Onside. Use it.
Jenkinson with a nice backdoor pass to Oliver Pyle.
Use.
Colbert. Here it is for Barnaby Horbury, who grubbers it into touch.
So some good defensive work by Sri Lanka. They held their line well. Realigned extremely well as Hong Kong kept mounting the pressure. So we have a look at the replay of that try once again.
Hold the run,
A loose pass by McCain, pounced on by Nanayakkara, who offloaded to his scrum half Amanat to put the finishing touches. And Nanayakkara himself making no mistake with the conversion. So a good clean line out by Sri Lanka.
No, he was from behind, he was from behind. Use it, White. Inside.
Struan Main hitting the driving maul with some pugilistic intent there. And here's Hugh Alexander, dragged down in a good tackle by Gamunu Chetia. Makes another one, and Tarindu Chaturanga goes in to bring down Dylan McCann. It's slow ball for Struan Man. And that's really good tackling. Once again by the Sri Lanka team. It's Sinida Bandara, one of the taller men. Takes it quickly. Murshid Zubair is called back again. You can take the ball from 2 meters where the mark, around anywhere but 2 meters where the mark is called, and James Fairburn wants to play as less advantage as he possibly can.
It's a wonderful bit of work by Naveen Marasinghe at that breakdown. Once he gets the ball on his hand, he's a big unit and he's very hard to shift. Could just have a look at that effort by Marasinghe as Zubair drives play back into the Hong Kong half. Working in unison. Marasinghe getting his hands on the ball after a good chop tackle by Hasid De Silva.
Nicely done at the front of the line out with an Amanet. It's not a great ball to Zubair, so he has to thump this one down the pitch.
Inside. Touch.
Dylan McCann
Touched.
puts this into touch, and it has been touched by the would-be charger down. So it will be Hong Kong China's ball.
Lasundu Karunatilaka was the man chasing, but he seems to be in a bit of he seems to be in shock.
Lasundu Vishan protesting his innocence really vehemently. You can see he's frustrated, as are we in the commentary box.
We have it as, excuse me, I'm talking. You are the captain. You are setting a very bad example coming up and yelling at me like that. For us, I have it clearly touched, so it's going to be a red ball. I don't need you shouting at me like that, okay? Just wait. You're on the line, okay? Time back on.
It would be interesting to see if we can have a replay of that, whether he touched the ball. He seemed to have said that he clapped his hand, but well, the referee sticking to his guns. A good high kick coming and a good chaser as well. But the
Just here. 13 offside.
chasers have been called offside for Hong Kong China, and the referee again brings play back. So penalty opportunity for Sri Lanka. Shanaka.
Well, I've been watching Lasundu Vishan Karunatilaka playing rugby for... Let's watch it again here. He clapped his hands together. And James Fairburn, if he watches this, if he has the opportunity to rewatch this match, should send Lasundu Vishan Karunatilaka a Christmas card with a very strongly worded apology.
Just in front of the kick, okay?
Well, probably while not condoning Karunatilaka's reaction, you can understand the frustration because his hands were nowhere near the ball. Nonetheless, another good attacking opportunity here for Sri Lanka. Kodagoda with the throw in. Good clean line out. Sri Lanka driving.
No, out, 7.
Sri Lanka making good ground here. They've got Hong Kong on the run.
They've got Hong Kong on the hop.
Okay, that's once.
Got to get the ball out now.
Does really well there. Does Glenn Hui. He did come through the middle and he has held up the ball.
Red 2, red 8. Substitution, red 2.
Glenn Hui somehow burrowing his way through the middle of that driving maul. Sri Lanka looked like they had a march on, but somehow just allowed a little bit of a gap in the front there.
Yes, I think it is also a problem with the transfer of the ball as well. Shanaka always got to ensure that the ball is at the back of the maul. Just wondering whether there could have been an infringement there by Glenn Hui when Tilna Bandara went into there, not allowing him to land cleanly. But nonetheless, Sri Lanka did extremely well to drive the maul, but some really good work by the Hong Kong number 5 to get right in between and spoil that maul.
Well, some good front crawl through the maul by Glenn Hui. Not allowed to swim through the maul is what I've been made to understand is the interpretation, but left arm, right arm, good impression of Michael Phelps.
I'm going to come this side. Okay.
The scrappy scrums continue in this game. Just 3 points still separating the two teams. 56th minute. Hong Kong, China will be looking to clear their lines. They have been under a bit of pressure during these last few minutes.
Bind! Set! Early. Second time early. You've got to take it from 8. It's the second time you've gone early, causing this accident. It's the second time.
If I'm not mistaken, Abdullah, the new playing conditions say you don't have to take it from 8 feet. You can take it from 2 meters around where the penalty was granted. So referee James Fairbairn being very strict on that, and as long as he's consistent, it's all we can ask for.
Second time you've gone early. Okay. You're causing a lack of stability. Right. But you are moving forward. They're taking
Former national player Priyantha Ekanayaka on the left there.
The initial hit. Yeah,
he would have been itching to get on the end of that scrum, where Lasindu Vishanis played many years of outstanding rugby in that position.
And because it's the second time. What are we doing? Captain?
It's been about
what do you think? I can't give you
few minutes since a penalty was blown, hasn't it?
Okay. Second time early, shot called.
So
got to be in line with this.
Humour between Sri Lankan skipper and the referee after their initial exchange of views. Lasitu Karunaratne saying he'll take 3 points. Referee saying that he cannot give him 3 points, but he can give an opportunity to get the 3 points at goal. So Nanakara with an opportunity to even things up here.
30 seconds.
Tenugu Nanakara from the 15-meter mark on the 22. Pushes it to the right. As another opportunity goes begging for Sri Lanka, and now play will resume with a 22-meter restart. Shanaka.
They really needed to go quickly from that. They really needed to go to the line from that. The 3 points was the final option, I thought, especially given the momentum that they had. And Oliver Pyle will try to take this play back into Sri Lankan territory. Murshid Zubair has had precious little opportunity. He's running himself into corners today. Needs some support. Tirina Bandara.
No. Pulse there.
Amanit, the try scorer, Sri Lanka's only try scorer today. Looks for the box kick. And it's a good one. Just a little too far.
Water break.
The referee calling for the 20-minute water break in this second half. Midun Amanit will be disappointed with the execution of that kick. Just going out on the full. And unfortunately, momentum ever so slightly shifting in favor of Hong Kong, China. These were the tries in that second half. The first scored by Glenn Huey for Hong Kong, China. There was no stopping him from close range as he made it 10 points to nil. But an error from the fullback Dylan McCann meant that Tenugu Nanakara collected and sent over Viduna Amanet minutes after coming in, as they cut the deficit, did Sri Lanka to 3 points, as it remains the same on the 58th minute mark in this game.
No, it's incorrect. It's 19 and a half minutes. This is 2 minutes too slow. It's 19 minutes and 38 seconds. On my watch, it's 19:38.
So still 3 points in it, just as it was at the breather. One try each for both these teams in this second half. But both teams yet, Shanak, you'd have to say, haven't found the fluency that they would like, isn't it? It's been pretty much a stop-start affair. Passes not going to hand. So just going into this final quarter with the game still very much in the balance. An overthrow at the line out.
Knock-up advantage.
It's been knocked on, well picked up by Viduna Amanit, and now some numbers for Sri Lanka. Pasindu has to cut in field, and Dean Squire is a big unit at number 13, tries to create a difference at the breakdown. Venurakoda got a smashed back by Jenkinson. Tirina Bandara opted to take the contact, which was probably sensible because there wasn't a lot going on behind him. Here's Marasinghe. Brought down by Struan Main.
You're on the floor, you can't play the ball.
It was as cynical as they come.
Can't play the ball.
So Zubair will once again try and drive play into the Hong Kong 25.
I thought he could have gone quickly there as well, Abdullah. Sri Lanka really need to look to put some pace on this game.
That's a good touch finder.
Red 10, red 10. Substitution.
Marasinghe launching himself into contact. And that was as cynical as you can get. You wouldn't expect that kind of an infringement at this level, isn't it?
Well, you do expect them. Players do whatever they can get away with. And it's one man's job to make sure they don't get away with too much. Once again, unnecessary from Shamika Kaushan. Sri Lanka have another advantage, pretty fortuitous there.
Turnover was good, but we were playing advantage for the knock-on.
Yes, I think there was no contest at line-out time there. That's why that crooked throw was loved to be played on. So another opportunity here for Sri Lanka.
Up to red 19, please.
Have to say the three quarters haven't looked threatening at all. Just interesting to see whether they will have another play. Well, there was a contest at line-out time there, so
I need the number that's coming on, not
it's interesting to see the reason why that was allowed to be played on.
Yeah, there certainly was a contest. Ball was crooked but overthrown, so missed everyone. And Sri Lanka quite lucky, you'd have to say, to have this scrum. With a nice big blindside as well for Lasindu Ishan. And Billy Lung has come into the hooker position. And James Holmes on the loose head side of the scrum for Hong Kong China.
Use it, ball's there.
Nicely done, 8-9, and they're looking for the 14 coming through, but just unable to stay in play. It's a high tackle by Joseph Knight on Pasindu Bandara. Sri Lanka opting for the line out. A tap and go might be a better option here, but looking for the line out, they're confident. Shamika or Venurakoda will find his mark.
Yes, sir. The 8-9 on the short side, nearly working. What Pasindu Bandara did really well here is he cut in and did well to stay on his feet. And it was Joseph Knight who came across and made contact with the head. Now Sri Lanka have formed, and Narasinghe goes over. Brilliantly executed line-out play by Sri Lanka. And they got the big man in the correct place. And Marasinghe, from that distance, there was no stopping him.
Marasinghe with a burst close to the try line, making sure that Sri Lanka dotted down and did not regret the decision to go to the touchline. Superb work from the big man, but also equally good work from Denuan Wickramaratne here at the back of the line out. Does a really good, well-timed handoff to Tirina Bandara, who does another lovely backdoor pass and smashing through the tackle of Hugh Alexander, who will feel that one tomorrow morning. A lovely strike play from Sri Lanka.
Certainly will feel that one, will the big Hong Kong man, but Navin Marasinghe, there was no stopping him from that sort of range, and it all began from that line out as took 3 Hong Kong players tried to stop Navin Marasinghe, but we get confirmation from the TMO that the try is good, Abdullah.
Yes, and in the meantime, Suhair Ture has made no mistake with the conversion. That's your try scorer, Navin Marasinghe. So Sri Lanka, for the first time in the game, go into the lead, 14 points to 10.
Well, it's taken over an hour for Sri Lanka to lead, but you have to say they've been good value for it after they withstood that onslaught in the early minutes of the second half. Murshid Zubair would like a little bit of support when he's counter-attacking, though, wouldn't he? Guys like Pasindu Silva, Gamanu Chaitya, who's got so much pace, just roving a little bit, giving him targets. Anthony Kubert.
Is that offside?
That ball, it was knocked on and knocked back.
It's a penalty to white. Okay. It's a knock on, but you've then played it in front, so you're offside.
And the assistant referee has made sure that the correct call was made on that occasion.
Knock on in front.
But not sure that at this level that the referee needs that kind of assistance for something so obvious.
So Sri Lanka with an opportunity to get right back into Hong Kong's half. You sense that the Sri Lankans have got a little bit of momentum going their way. Just need to be accurate. Once again, Murshid Zubair, driving play, just short of the 22. This was the replay. Some really good pressure being applied by Denuan Wickremarache. There was a knock on, and one of the Hong Kong players just tried to tap it back from an offside position.
It's not straight. There was a contest. It's not straight. Option.
There was a contest at the front of the line out there, so Venera Kodagota really needs to do better now.
Dean, do you want a scrum? Okay. Not straight, scrum.
As well, he's got to trust Tilna Bandara to get his hands on the ball. He's a brilliant exponent of the line out.
It'd be nice to see that line out again if we can after this passage of play. Just have a look at that contest also to see the picture that Venera Kodagota was seeing.
Bind! Set!
Good drive back from the Sri Lankans, really good scrum. And Barnaby Horbury. And just trying to do a little bit of a cute pick-up that time, the Hong Kong player, but leaving the ball behind.
As well, visibly, pressure is getting to the Hong Kong team. Sri Lanka just need to be a bit accurate now. Play the game in the correct areas.
Let's go.
Have to give a big shout out to the two prop forwards, Hasidri Silva and Vimukti Gamage. 65 minutes into the game. They've held their own here at scrum time.
Vidun Amanet preparing to feed this centre field scrum. Holding firm as Lasindu Karunatilaka this time holds on.
Denuan Wickremarache helping his captain there. Now they go short side again. And Navin Marasinghe, fresh from his try-scoring exploits, sits Dylan McCann on his backside. Vimukti Gamage puts a shoulder into it, but Joseph Knight puts an even bigger shoulder into it. Murshid Zubair once again really starved for space, but gets a good ball away. And Charlie Hickson Smith will see a colour. We'll see a card. We'll just have to wonder what colour it will be.
Certainly he will see a card.
Okay.
And
Simon, we're going to come to
TMO
check on that tackle, please.
Will be coming into play for this one. Momentum certainly shift in the way of the hosts. Charlie's hand going straight around the neck, shoulder,
You need to
and
show
head.
it again, please, at normal speed. Same camera, normal speed. James, you're looking at actions of 14 red.
Correct, ready for conversation, Simon.
Okay, tell me what you've seen.
Okay, so it's a high tackle by 14 red. Definitely could be over. He's round the neck. For me, there is a late change of direction by the ball carrier. The entry point is a red card. We mitigate down to a yellow for that. Are you agreed?
Correct, correct, correct.
Okay, thank you. And it's 14 red, yeah?
So the mitigation is a late change of direction by Pasidhu Bandara.
Okay, 14.
Let's see if we can catch that late change of direction.
14. Okay, it's round the neck clearly. There is a late dip, which is why it's so near yellow, but you must be very careful when you come back, okay?
Let's have a look at that one again and see the late dip and the late change of direction.
Simon, mark, please.
See the mitigatory factors.
In normal speed, it did look even worse than in slow motion, Shanaka.
That doesn't happen often, but if we can see that one again.
Okay.
Murshid Zubair will
Thank you. Time back up.
want to take some good ground on this. Not sure whether he's with the wind, so he won't opt for the 3. It's a nice low drive by Zubair. Has kept Sri Lanka in the right parts of the pitch.
Real opportunity here for Sri Lanka. They have a man advantage. As you have a look at that once again.
So really interesting to see how he changed direction there, wasn't it, Abdullah? If you can see it from the wider angle, but we'll watch that one later. Here's Amanet, another pass behind the receiver. He's come on an added pace, but taken away a little bit of accuracy from the base.
Use it now, use it.
Zubair with a little grubber through.
Not for me, play on, play on.
Here's Dylan McCann.
So, get out, man. Use it!
Hong Kong do well to come back, and Hugh Alexander.
4 white, you're offside. You're in front.
Offside from Thilina Bandara. He got a bit of an early start, according to the assistant. See whether we can see this one again.
Sri Lanka just needed to hold their discipline. They had Hong Kong under the cuff. That's Charles Hickson Smith.
Charlie Hickson Smith undone by that late change of direction by Pasidhu Bandara, which we'll show you in a moment, I'm sure. As Thilina Bandara is just a little too over-eager. Yep, he started well after the ball was lifted, but the assistant referee saw it differently.
Knock on advantage. You're going backwards. So substitution, white 7. Substitution, white 7.
Time the Chaturanga's evening, by the looks of it, is coming to an end. Beg your pardon, Denuwan Wickramarachchi.
Well, this has been a good shift from Denuwan Wickramarachchi, I have to say. He's done well in the line-out when Thilina Bandara was absent, and he's put himself about. He's coming to the side with the migration of Lahilu Tirakaratne, and has really acquitted himself well, the Sri Lanka Navy captain. And a big moment for Naham Hemachandra as well, coming onto the side of the scrum.
Bind! Set!
Miduna Amanet feeds the scrum.
Use it 9.
And gets it out just in time as the 3 quarters go about as Pasindu Bandara tries to step inside.
No, you've lost it.
Tackler rolls away just in time. Sri Lanka still with possession, just outside the 22 meter.
Straight off your feet.
And directly off the feet goes the Sri Lanka player Shanaka.
Yep.
Straight off feet.
Losing the balance there, the fatigue maybe setting in there for Marasinghe. Dived straight into the ruck like it was a swimming pool. McCann now. It's a nice drop punt technique to take play into the Sri Lanka half.
Substitution, White 12, White 12.
It was actually Marasinghe who took it into contact. And it was, believe, Sabit Mushid who went right off his feet.
Time off.
So this is where the front row
Wait, we've got a head here, we've just got a head here.
depth comes into play, Abdullah, doesn't it? Sabit Mushid is not a very experienced player, doesn't have a lot of club rugby under his belt, but called up into these international intense games, needs to be able to lift the discipline levels as well. It's a shame that players like Abdullah Faiz, Janido Fernando.
Yeah, that is deficit. Water off, please. Water off.
Charit Silva are not available for Sri Lanka.
Time back on. No contest.
It's crooked, it goes to the back of the line. Joseph Knight will rescue the ball. It's untidy, but Dylan McCann, for what seems like the umpteenth time in this match, has needed to clear things up behind the first line. Johan Patrena has a long left boot. Doesn't find a lot of ground that time.
So he's got it into touch. Hong Kong trailing by 4 points. It's they now who have to force the issue. They're a player down as well.
Well, this is an important period in play for Sri Lanka to make sure that they don't allow Hong Kong back into the game, especially with a player down.
Out, wide, out.
Vimukta Gamage asked to get out, and he does so that time. Lovely little chip through from Horbury. Johan Patrena this time. He put some purchase on that kick, and Dylan McCann has done well to go back. Spinning out of one tackle, but hanging on for dear life was Pasindu Bandara by his fingernails. James Holmes that time carrying in midfield. Horbury.
Penalty advantage.
Not rolling away is a call, and once again the bench players not keeping pace.
Bodies all over the floor as fatigue is no doubt setting in with the heat beating down here on the Racecourse International Stadium. Hong Kong know that 3 points will not help their cause in going into the lead.
Well, Dylan McCann has been kicking well. I would say 1 point of a gap with the restart to come was probably a sensible risk-averse play. Means that they think that Sri Lanka can hold them out.
Skipper Dean Squire though taking matters into his own hands and putting the ball into touch. Now Sri Lanka will have to defend this Hong Kong-China line out.
Substitution, White 6. Injured players. You're leaving the field. You're leaving the field. Sub.
Tharidu Chaturanga, hope it's nothing more than a cramp for the Sri Lanka co-captain. And we've had Shanal Adhikaram who's come on. Lots of bodies on the floor. Dylan McCann is also given a breather, and coming on is Alex Moses.
Done. I'm waiting for 18 here, though. I'm going to wait for 18.
Struan Main is taking his time getting back to his feet.
Okay. Hong Kong, let's go, let's go. Time back on, water off please, water off please. That's your mark, that's your mark.
Important line out for Hong Kong in the context of this game. Nicely taken by Jenkinson. A bit of double banking there by Joseph Knight. But really good pressure from Marasinghe there, and Sri Lanka had managed to disrupt this. That's the third time they've done it, and you can see what it means to the Sri Lanka side.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Captain
And once
16.
again,
Captain
it's Lasilu
16.
Isham that gets up from the floor with the ball in his hand.
16. Number 16. No, I don't need you. I don't need you. I don't know. I don't need you. Okay.
He just hyped.
The turnover was good. You then, completely unnecessarily, pushed your opponent and celebrated in the face. Okay? So I'm now penalising you. It's going to be a penalty to red on the 15. Okay? Thank you. It's a penalty to you for the reaction.
Well,
okay?
Venera Kodagoda has maybe given this match away by a little indiscretion. Let's see if we can see that one again. Tirina Bandara has been in the wars today.
Push.
Well, could that bit of afters cost Sri Lanka a historic win? Forwards did really well.
Well, we didn't see that there.
Get out, 20! Get out! Get out, 20!
The assistant referee has spotted the knock-on. Be good to see the penalty that Kodagoda conceded there.
I think this was the second one where Sri Lanka defended.
Well, that's double and triple banking from Joseph Knight and Conor O'Byrne, who get behind the ball carrier, the lifted man, as he comes down. Been missed by the three officials, but looks like we can't show you Venera Kodagoda's indiscretion.
Set. Use it, Knight. Touched, touched, touched.
It's been touched, so Pasidu Bandara can take it quickly. Looks like Tirina Bandara is off the field, and off the field for the rest of this game. It's a big loss for Sri Lanka in terms of experience.
One white.
And finally, after what has been a monumental shift, Vimukthi Gamage is substituted, and it looks like Nisal Silva will come on in the scrum cap. It has been a superb match from Gamage.
It's wonderful composure by Zubair. Two Hong Kong players came herring up at him, but just had the presence of mind to evade both of them and kick it into touch. Wonderful bit of skill by the Sri Lankan fly half.
Yeah, in we come. Clear contest, not straight. What we do? Scrum.
Well, Venera Kodagoda
Yellow card with us.
will need to go back and work on his core skills before the Korea game.
Four minutes or so left on the clock. As Hong Kong will be licking their lips, but they know that they will have to do it over a massive Sri Lankan team who has been defending extremely well in the past few minutes.
And you can see why Coach Dushant Luke was wary about sending these front rowers on.
Okay? Just hold
Nisal
it.
Silva
We're near the end, let's just keep it, okay?
and
Let's
Sabit
reset.
Mushin.
Let's go.
are scrummaging at a quality that they have not experienced before. And Struan Main looks like he's been round the block a few times in the number 18 jersey. Really will cause problems for the Sri Lankan youngsters. We've been asked to pick players from each side as player of the match. Colombo nicely in field was the Hong Kong player.
Let go, let go, let go, let go! You're under advantage, Red, for the high tackle.
It's a nice ball out, and Dean Squire puts a little chip kick in, acres of space, and Billy Lung will touch down. And the game has been given away at the end, and Hong Kong, China looks like they've snatched victory from the jaws of defeat at the death.
Well, wonderful composure and execution under pressure. They had the advantage of a penalty as well. The entire Sri Lankan defense was formed relatively narrow. Wonderful bit of vision with the cross kick. I think it was by Dean Squire, the Hong Kong captain. And as a result, Hong Kong have just inched ahead.
Yeah. Seconds, yeah, that's it. Okay,
And I think this will be time after this kick is made. Doesn't matter the result of the kick. And that's the game. Hong Kong have stolen it with literally the last play of the game. 15 points to 14. Sri Lanka did terrifically well to be in the lead on the hour mark. And they've managed to hold on till the 79th minute, but the final minute where everything matters, they gave up the ghost, and the inexperience of the Sri Lankan bench really showed, as they just couldn't hold out to the 80th minute. It's been a disappointing performance from Sri Lanka, and one that will give Hong Kong, China a lot of relief.
That's right. Have to say, to a great extent, in those final 5 minutes, Sri Lanka just snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. You'd have to say Hong Kong hanging in there. Wonderful bit of skill right at the end with the try, enabling them to just snatch it with the final play of the game, and win this first encounter by 15 points to 14.
That'll be a bit of a relief on the part of Hong Kong, China. We did see that as well in their celebrations, but this Sri Lankan team, they did play their hearts out and will be kicking themselves for not holding out on the last passage of play.
Yes, well, you'd have to say from Sri Lanka's point of view, an absolute missed opportunity, but Hong Kong just showing the depth that they do possess, coming out here, hanging on right till the end, and eventually pulling this game off right at the very end. Sri Lankan team can take a lot of heart from the effort they put in, may not be the execution. And this is the full-time score. Sri Lanka 14, Hong Kong with the final play of the game, snatching it 15. And they will take a draw first blood in this Asian Rugby Championship for the year 2026.
Well, we've been asked to pick out two men from either side, Abdullah. For me, I thought the Sri Lankan backs were not up to the mark as we look at the highlights of the second half. Hicks and Smith starting things off, and then Dane Rousseau hanging on to Glenn Hui, who went over the line for the first try of the half, converted nicely by Dylan McCann, and then McCann with an inaccurate pass that Tenuka Nanayakara pounced on. And Vidunamanet needed no second invitation to sprint in. Nanayakara with the conversion as well. Looked for all money like Hong Kong would run him down, but a nice set play from Sri Lanka. Navin Marasinghe going over off the line out. And then Higgs and Smith undone by that change of direction from Pasindu Bandara, which I'm yet to see. And Dean Squire keeping a calm head about him for Billy Lung to run onto this ball and score the final 5-pointer. Vivek Tigamage is our player of the match from the Sri Lanka team. And I would think that for Hong Kong, Abdullah, there were a few players that put their hand up. Not many of the backs, unfortunately. But I thought Joseph Knight, Patrick Jenkinson in the 7 and 4 jerseys did quite a bit of work for Hong Kong, and Dean Rousseau as well in the number 8 jersey.
Yeah, that's right. It was very much a forwards battle, wasn't it, Shanaga? Both three-quarter lines just unable to get their respective games going. And Sri Lanka just did their best to hang in there at the end. But again, in those final 5 minutes, as you very correctly said, once the bench came on, they just couldn't hold their part. The lack of experience definitely shown there. And eventually Hong Kong on the stroke of full time, snatching it at the very end.
Well, 2 tries in it. 1 penalty goal from Dylan McCann's boot. And 1 conversion means that there's just 1 point in it. Sri Lanka having 1 more conversion than Hong Kong, China. So 3 points versus 2, and 1 point margin here in Colombo in this first match of the Asian Rugby Emirates Men's Championship. The Sri Lankan team will rightfully hang their heads, Abdullah. They knew that this was there for the taking. We didn't expect coming into this game that it would be so close, but the fact that it was, and the fact that they just gave it away at literally in the final seconds, will really disappoint them, but maybe G them up for the Korea game.
Yes, well, there are plenty of positives to take away from this game as far as the Tuskers are concerned. I thought the scrum, they really held their own with Hasinza De Silva and Vimuk Tigamage, both doing a stellar job. And despite losing a player like Pulasti Dasanayaka, Shamika Kaushan to a great extent did fill that void. So all these experiences that these players have accumulated will hopefully hold them in good stead. But Hong Kong, the defending champions, sending in a development or rather B side here, will be really pleased and relieved, you'd have to say, to have pulled this game off.
We have standing by pitch side we have some officials from Asian Rugby standing by on the touchlines.
Couple of seconds. Tell us, how did the game go for you guys?
Yeah, what a way to finish. A lot of debutants today, so to finish like that takes a lot of pride in our performance and our effort to get to that. Full credit to Sri Lanka with the home crowd advantage, really taking momentum in the game for the most part. But it's massive pride to our boys and a lot of boys on their first cap today to stick into that and get that at the end.
Absolutely, well done. You've mentioned a lot of debutants, so tell us about this team now and where you are sort of in terms of your journey. You've got Rugby World Cup next year, and how is that team basically looking? Building up to that big tournament next year.
Yeah, obviously massive for Hong Kong, China to be into the first World Cup. In terms of Hong Kong rugby and developing on a whole, we've been told we're trying to increase the depth, increase the numbers of players who can be available for the World Cup, improve the standard, so it puts us in a better place. So that our squad is a new squad. It's been assembled. That's why there's so many debutants. The full-time contracted boys are out in Japan at the moment, challenging themselves against some higher level opposition for playing against Japan development team, and then we're a squad assembled to take place in the ARC. So building from now, we'll be going to Korea in the next few weeks.
So you've got a couple of weeks off. I was going to ask you, what would you take out of this game into that game against Korea? Because that game, a win, which means you would win the trophy.
Yeah.
So what did you take out of this game that you can take into a couple of weeks?
As I mentioned, we can take massive pride in our effort to win that game at the end. It takes a lot of effort for that, takes a lot of boys sticking. What we can improve is sticking with our system, sticking with our processes. Obviously, we've only been together a few months, so learning those things, but it's just getting clarity in what we're doing. And then obviously today our discipline is costing us. We had a yellow card, we've had different penalties that are giving momentum to the opposition, but yeah, that's what we're going to be. We'll review and then we'll try and implement some things for Korea.
Brilliant. Korea will come in fresh, so enjoy your break. You have a long flight back, safe journey, and recover, and we'll see you in Hong Kong in a couple of weeks.
Thank you very much. Thank you to everyone here today. Brilliant. Thank you.
Cheers, Dane. Well done, man. Thank you.
Cheers, guys. Should I spit some bars?
Dean Squire, very relieved with that victory in match day 1 of the Asian Rugby Men's Emirates Championship. And with that,
so Hong Kong will next host Korea on the 7th of June, while Sri Lanka will travel to Hong Kong on the 14th, and with plenty of work-ons to do. And Shanaka, they'll probably go up there and play against the best Korean outfit, and it's a good opportunity for them really to test themselves, isn't it? They are missing a few players from that 7th squad, but nonetheless, these players who are here have shown that they can compete, and it's just a matter of giving them the confidence and showing that you trust them. And they sooner or later they will deliver for the country.
well, the youngsters did so well. Nobody gave them a ghost of a chance going into this game, Abdullah. Hopefully this will have given them the self-confidence to say, yes, this is a development squad, but we have the quality and we have the wherewithal and the attitude to go out there and really do our best against Korea. Let's see how that will bring dividends in the next 2 training weeks before Sri Lanka fly off to Korea. And in the next week we have Hong Kong, China, who will take on Korea before that. So Korea will play back-to-back. Sri Lanka have a rest week. But from the Racecourse here in Colombo, from match day 1, from Romario De Silva, Abdullah Yusuf and myself, Shana Kamara, saying it's goodbye for now.
Standby for opener.
Sri Lanka's #1 sports channel, ThePapare.
3, 2, 1, roll off.
ඉතින් ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ අංකික ක්‍රීඩා නාලිකාව ThePapare සමග.
Welcome back to ThePapare.
Welcome to the live broadcast on ThePapare.
Good luck, guys. Good luck, everyone.
ThePapare, Sri Lanka's #1 television sports channel.